Hi, welcome to day 2. Although it's still day 1 for me. Still wearing my Wonder sweatshirt. If you're ever in Clayton, you should stop by Wonder. It's a great store. If you like hiking, it's great. It's just a pretty place to go to. But anyway, focus. So today's lesson, let's talk about this a little bit. It's a little bit different of a lesson. It's not so much math, but more identify things, okay? So just be patient with yourself and work through it. If you hear the noise in the background, it's my boys watching TV. But you need to go get your book, open up to page 802, okay? So go do that real quick. Pause the video, go do that. Okay, at the top of 802, you're gonna see a chart that says biased and unbiased samples. I can guarantee you, like, you're smart, you are, but there's no way you can do your homework without referring to this chart. Does that make sense? So when you do your homework, I want you to have your book open to page 802, looking at the different things and figuring out what's what. But you're gonna need the chart to figure things out. Okay, so let's look at this. Today we're gonna be talking about biased samples versus unbiased samples. So first let's talk about those words. So let's say that I offered you a piece of chocolate. No. Let's say I'm gonna give you my AirPods. Okay. So I can use biased language and unbiased language. So I could say, "Here are my AirPods." That's unbiased. Biased looks more like, "Here are my most favorite, most cherished, best thing I ever bought with my money, AirPods. And if you so much as drop one on the floor." No, okay. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can see how there's bias in our words. So that's what we're going to be looking at today. Like, you can take samples. Do you remember what a sample was? We take surveys. A population is the big group that we're studying. But a sample, in order to study the big population, remember, I can't interview every teenager, but I can take a sample of 100 that gives me a picture of what the whole group is. So when we take those samples, we can either have a biased sample or an unbiased sample. Ultimately, we want unbiased. So let's figure out what that looks like. So you're open to your books on page 802. So let's look at an unbiased sample. An unbiased sample is selected so that it accurately represents the entire population. And so there's 2 ways that you can pick an unbiased sample. Pay attention to these 2 ways. The first way is a simple random sample. Simple random sample. The way that we do that is that each item or person in the population is as likely to be chosen as any other. Everybody has the same chance to get chosen. If you're in that population, you have the same chance to get chosen as anybody else. If we take a bag of marbles and pull them out, every marble in there has the same chance as every other marble. It's a simple random sample. The book gives an example where each student's name is written on a piece of paper. The names are placed in a bowl and the names are picked out without looking. That's simple and it's random. Okay, next, systematic random. Systematic random is when the items or people are selected according to a specific time interval. So for example, if I am looking to take a survey of my class, rather than putting all the names in a hat and picking them all out, I may stand by the door and say, okay, I want to interview about 4 or 5 kids. So I'm going to stand at the door and stop every 4th kid and ask them these questions. So systematic is more every 4th, every 20th. It's that kind of deal where you have a system in picking the people, not just like, let's see what happens. Okay, so that is unbiased. Those are 2 ways that you can have an unbiased sample. Simple random and systematic random. Then the next part is a biased sample. A biased sample we don't want. That's where one or more parts of the population are favored over others. Now there's 2 ways, 2 different types that you can have a biased sample. The first is a convenience sample. A convenience sample consists of members of a population that are easily accessed. So to represent all the students attending the school, the principal surveys the students in one math class. So that is just a convenience sample. Yesterday, we had the teacher's class and then we took the whole class. That was a convenience sample. It was a biased sample. Next is a voluntary response sample. A voluntary response sample involves only those who want to participate in the sampling. Students at a school who wish to express their opinions complete an online survey. So that's a voluntary response. If you look at at the bottom of receipts, you know, they have that, let us know what you think and you can win this, this, this. That's a voluntary response type situation. So those 4 ways, two types of biased samples and 2 types of unbiased samples. You're gonna have to know really well. You're gonna wanna have this chart out when you do your homework. In the next part of the lesson today, I'm going to go through some examples so you can see how we do this. But that is the basic idea of biased and unbiased samples. Here comes part 2.